Hey everyone, welcome to our discussion today on employer branding. An employer brand is your reputation among the workforce as well as your employees' perception of you as an employer. In other words, employer branding is how you market your company to job seekers and internal employees. The better you are at employer branding, the more likely are you to attract top talent. Additionally, a positive employer brand can also help you retain top talent. You should think of it. If somebody is searching for a job, will he prefer your company? Even if your company is an industry which is doing well and you are could be one of the top players, is it necessary you are the top employer brand? Do the people prefer to work for you? So generally in branding, we do branding for specific products we are selling. The people are not concerned generally of what company it's selling. There are many products out there and you'll not even know the company name. So in that way, only the product brand is there. But you have to create an employer brand from the company itself. The people who could be potential employees, they should know about your company. So that is where the employer branding basically comes in. So for this very interesting discussion, I have a couple of panelists with me. So let me first bring them on and introduce them one by one. So firstly, we have Ratnabharati. Hi Ratna, how are
Hi,
you?
I'm great. How are you, Nikhil?
I'm also doing great. Awesome. So, Ratna Bharti Upacharya, she has worked in branding solutions in Indian Express and Midday. She's currently working at the Upacharya Foundation as a CMO. She has worked as a branding consultant in industries like media, FMCG, education. It's great having you for this panel discussion, Ratna Bharti.
Thank you, Nikhil. It's honor to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Shalaka Kulkarni. Hi, Shalaka. Thanks a lot for coming down.
Hi, my pleasure, Nikhil. Thank you so much for inviting.
Great. So, Shalaka is an author, artist, TEDx speaker, marketing and branding professional, and has been associated with big brands across the globe. Some of the brands that she has worked for are McDonald's, Salesforce, HPE, Hindustan Unilever, VMware, Kantar, Brillo, and the list goes on. She is currently managing global brand marketing at Microland. A little more about her educational background. She has a master degree in marketing and a super specialization in neuromarketing from Copenhagen Business School and Neurons Academy. She was honored with a national award in Women Disruptors in 2021. This was basically for driving excellence in the field of social media for employer branding. She's also a multiple published author. Her book, Orenda, has been listed number one on Kindle under short story section and the sixth overall. She's also won Book of the Year Reader's Choice at Kavisha Awards 2021. She quotes, people are inspired by stories and stories are inspired by people, and that's my favorite cycle. So, Shalaka, just a little bit about your book Orenda to the viewers, if you can just tell anything.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction. Orinda was published in November last year, and it is a collection of 52 short stories based in modern India. The genre is flash fiction. Flash fiction is everything and anything which is less than 1,000 words. These are basically stories which could be read in a span of 2 to 3 minutes, and 52 because there are 52 weeks in a year. So each story for each week of the year.
That's right. And what inspired you to write this particular book?
Well, I have been writing since the age of 8, and I come from a family of literary enthusiasts. So I started writing in Marathi, which is my mother tongue, and then gradually moved to English. The pandemic somewhere, inspired me because I realized that I was not doing enough for myself, And these stories in the book are written over a span of 8 to 9 years, Nikhil. And then, I worked upon it and I compiled it, and then, the process began.
Great, that's amazing. So, okay, without further ado, then we'll just start our discussion. We have around 4 or 5 questions, primary questions, and then we'll have a Q&A session from basically questions from the audience. So, we'll start with the first, which is the just the basic thing. Like, if you are working in employer branding as a marketer, what are the steps that are involved? So, I'll go to Shalaka so that she can take us basically in terms of helping the marketers to make a framework, like what steps they should take to within this strategy.
Sure. So, in terms of building an employer branding strategy, the first thing you need to understand is your target audience. From building personas of your prospects, your employees, and so on. You need to understand your target audience. You need to understand your hiring requirements or the hiring strategy for a next couple of years, at least 2 to 3, so that is the base on which you can start building the strategy. See, for B2C companies, it would be different. B2B companies, it would be different. But given the space we are in, tech talent is the most important, the most seeked, talent right now. Every organization is, in the end, is becoming a tech organization, right? So understanding the user persona is very important, because you can brand your organization, through your employer branding activities in a way wherein what you do appeals to the target audience which you are trying to hire. So that's the first step. Second, based on that, you can build your EVP, what you want to talk about, how you want to stand as an organization, internally and externally, right? Whatever you do internally is the most authentic form which needs to be marketed externally. So that would be the second step of building the EVP, and then promoting the EVP would be the next step, which would be the third step in terms of. See, a lot of companies are doing different things in order to, build their employer brand. And while they do that, it is of prime importance to understand that the lines between corporate brand and employer brand are blurring right now. What you showcase as your employer brand is, of course, reflected as corporate, and vice versa. So you need to decide on what activities would be best suited for the EVP which you are trying to communicate, and then the consistency comes in play, wherein you have to keep doing all of that so that you create a brand recall, right? You just can't do one campaign and leave it there. You need to be consistent to keep hammering your brand's name in public and in all across social media channels, LinkedIn being the most important one here. So overall, as a framework, these would be the 4 steps involved. And of course, you measure ROI, you measure the output, and then you come back and redo certain things which worked for you, which didn't work for you. But always, in terms of employer brand, that's my personal perspective, that the first touch point is your website. A candidate first, if interested, visits your website. Either it is from any ad, or if you see a a banner, like I had seen Atlassian's banner in Sarjapur Road, and then I checked what the organization was, while in LinkedIn is also there. I mean, the all these things lead you to the uh, main frame, which is the website. So from that touch point, and then it begins, the whole journey begins. So that is how one should, cater to building the strategy, understanding the target audience, then building your EVP. Third would be deciding upon the activities related to your, EVP, and then consistently doing all of these things to create that impact. What do
That's
you
great.
think, Ratna?
Hi, Shalaka. First thing I wanted to say, and it's really impressive journey you have. And the point you mentions all are correct. But when I do the activity, majorly the mission and vision of the company, where we always keep in a mind and make the accordingly whatever the outcome we want. If we want to hire a good people, if we want to just highlight the company, the whatever aim otherwise objective we make for the campaign, and for that reason we can develop those things in activity or the implementing all the strategy in that way, just like you
Yeah.
already mentioned in a 4 ways.
That's right. To summarize, Shalaka, could you just take the point, just the pointers that you said as a summary?
Sure. Understanding your target audience, building your EVP, communicating your EVP, and keep doing that consistently and measuring the output. So these would be 4, 5 of them,
That's
stepwise.
it. Um,
Some
is
things
there
work,
like
some things don't, right? So
yes. So like normal marketing may like when you are identifying your target audience, then you are creating multiple persona, like likely personalities who will buy your products or consumer services. So with respect to like in employer branding, like it would be who could potentially I could work with them, right? Or they
right,
are looking, I would look at them to join my company. How would
right.
that work out in this scheme of things?
Right. So when we employer branding has a very like a subsection called recruitment marketing. So when it comes to recruitment marketing, it's usually done via LinkedIn. So while we do that, that is the best way to build your person, understand your persona, because you get a lot of insights from LinkedIn. So LinkedIn has their tools and practices in place which are really really good. And LinkedIn AMs also, account managers also help you understand a lot more on what who would be interested in working for your organization, or who keep casually looking at so all these insights are very helpful in building that persona. As you said that while we are marketing for a product, it is very easy to build that persona. But while it comes to employer brand, see, a tech IT services company uh, in analytics would also have their competitor as a Fractal or a Fitran or a Hevo, because tech talent is everywhere. So it gets very crucial in terms of who you want to target as an organization, because the pool is very wide. These are very strategic decisions which come from the talent heads of the organization, or recruitment heads of the organization, on what talent they are seeking to hire, because the possibilities in terms of opportunities for tech folks and vice versa are endless. So in a nutshell, it is for the company to decide the persona on who they want to hire and what suits their profile or the client's profile, etc.
That's right. Great. So we'll come to the next question. We've covered the steps, general kind of go-to framework. Now we'll come specifically to activities that are covered within employer branding. So to cover the same, I'll go to Ratnabharati.
Yeah, this is the exciting because here we actually implement whatever the strategy Shalaka told us. So here we do the what we wanted to do first. If we want to hire a good employees, otherwise targeting the good employment, so we are going to post about the what kind of work people are doing here. So they will get the clear idea what company does. So for example, this is the IT person. So he need a PHP knowledge. And which level of PHP knowledge? First, a beginner, advanced, super advanced. What kind of? Such kind of things we have to post. Means recognition. So monthly competitions will be there. Presentation competitions will be there. Such kind of competition and winner we need to announce. So our management are always encouraging our team and giving them a chance to explore and learn more. So why people join your company? For the reason for payment, the reason for the growth, then growth is a knowledge growth, otherwise the position growth, and many other things. So what kind of growth you are giving to your employees? So people have to understand by the LinkedIn. Means there is a mode to communicate from the LinkedIn and what kind of organization structure they want. Everybody need 9 to 5 job. Okay, but if the person is working extra, so what is the impact is there? There is a forcefully or people are enjoying to spend more time with the team in office. So such kind of things and company culture they will understand from these activities. So we can take the Starbucks as one of the option example. uh, they are doing intern story done by the Times Group. But Starbucks is also doing the great way. They are doing employment story. Sula Winery ad is also sharing the experience story of the employees, why they are here, why they joined the company. So such kind of activities we need to add it to relate it to our culture, mission, and vision of the company.
That's right. Shalaka, would you like to share something with respect to
Sure.
events that can be designed within this, or certain like
Sure.
awards? Because I've even heard that certain internal awards also
Right.
designed so that who are the top performers. Everybody is motivated in that way. So
Yeah,
you
that's
could just
just one
share light on
aspect
that.
of it. That's just one aspect of it, Nikhil. To add to what you and Ratnabharati said, see, whatever you do internally as an organization for employee engagement, all of that could be showcased externally, right? All of
Yeah.
it, like from wellness to Women's Day to Men's Day, every aspect which you do internally can be shared externally, and it becomes more authentic because you have people faces and you just humanize the brand. Humanizing the brand is very important because uh, as you showcase your own people, that just adds value to it and makes it more authentic. That's one. Second, there will be some proactive activities which as an employer brand specialist you can recommend a lot from a hiring standpoint, hackathons and speed hiring events, and recruitment marketing ads, which I already spoke about. All of these things definitely, and R&R, as you have rightly mentioned, that rewards and recognition, just a small certificate after completing a certain course, if you are sending it to your employees who are involved, they'll themselves go on LinkedIn and talk about it. That is employee generated content. And that's the beauty of it, right? That you don't have to do anything. It's that your employee is going out and talking about your organization and telling his or her network, right? Then in terms of gender diversity, the focus has increased a lot. So women friendly policies and a lot of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. A lot of companies are doing a lot of activities, and we are close to Women's Day as well, so you must have seen a lot of things happening around, right? So all of these things, in terms of hiring better, building your brand better, come in play. Then CSR. A lot of organizations, a lot of folks want to work for organizations who are doing good to the society. Like I have been a volunteer when I was with Brillo, like all the time I was either branding the CSR activities or either volunteering for the causes I was conscious of. So that is also something which is important. Then in terms of thought leadership or the leaders who represent your brand. So leadership branding is also one small pillar under employer brand. I am also learning a lot on that front lately, and it's interesting. Like one, it always flows from the top, right? One person can influence so many people and drive that impact with just one LinkedIn post. And of course, being that senior a leader with 31 years of work ex, it just becomes a completely different ballgame. So all of these activities done on a regular basis, pave way to building or you're strengthening your employer brand, and PR also comes into play. I think I've spoken a lot, but PR has immense
PR will
value.
come in the next one. Uh,
Yeah.
that's right. So, in terms of this, one very important thing is the how the work culture and things are changing. We have a major gig economy.
Right.
You have so many opportunities that people are seeking outside full time work also, so they can
Right.
earn more basically. So don't you think in this day and age, like as an employer, firstly though obviously you should support it that the he's involved in other activities as well. Obviously they'll make sure, every company will make sure that during they are getting their goals are being achieved through whatever is being
Right.
given to that particular employee, but along with that they are open to do other things outside in terms of other activities or other kind of you can say side hustles also. So in this, do you think in the employer branding also it should be a part where you're communicating? Because I've heard a lot of with many companies who are encouraging this kind of
Yes.
it's where they're encouraging side hustles, encouraging people doing other activities other than just they are part of the company.
Yeah, and Cred is the best example. Cred hires people who are from different backgrounds. And giving my personal example also, right? I have a different, now that passion has become a little more than passion, but yes, it is very important. Organizations are trying to hire whole-brained folks who have
Hmm.
something else on the side and who can bring in that perspective to your organization, irrespective what the role is. So you're absolutely right. And people also want that flexibility, right? Like I
That's-
keep traveling all the time.
hmm.
And if I wouldn't have had that flexibility, I might not be able to give my best to the organization and
So,
to my
like
side.
for example, a person like you also, when they are going to go in for a job, if via employer branding they come to know there are certain companies who are encouraging this kind of,
Yeah.
having a job in a, so then you will prefer those organizations because they have
Ye-
already done those efforts in communicating that.
Yes, and nowadays it's a talent driven market. Jobs की
Yes.
कोई कमी नहीं है फिलहाल. It's all talent driven right now. I'm sure
Right.
Ratna will agree. Yeah.
Yes, 100%. And when if for example we three of us is working in one company and company recognize us and we are posting together, so we are highlighting our value as well. We are increasing our own value as well. Just like talent driven or culture is coming, so we are also sharing our talent things in there. So there are many things we can do in our activities. So, if I want to share my midday experience, so in a midday, when I joined the midday newspaper, so they printed the special edition for by my name. My photograph is there, company information is there, about one paragraph for me, and I'm still keeping that memory with me that this is my newspaper. There is upper side is a midday, middle of just like I am a highlighted or big news of that day, such kind of thing. It's a opening it, but it's a happy moment for me.
Yeah.
And every month we get the star of the month for the different reason, for the performance, for the office environment, for the happy person in a pressure time as well, such kind of. So these are good. People will check by the culture you told us, otherwise point come out culture. People, what kind of culture people want? Pressure, but happy pressure, happy work pressure movement they wanted to enjoy. Nobody can live. It's just like Shalaka traveling keeps moving city to city, and she always learning a new things from the new market, because every market speak a different language with the people as well. So, and she's implementing, if she wanted to do the some campaign for the Pune base. Pune are specifically Marathi people, and then mentality is just like we are a Peshwai. If she wanted to do for the Bangalore, they are a very talented and very different kind of mindset people. Productive time is there as a language. So that is the difference. So where people are joining, they will understand. They will choose the city as well. Ki, I wanted to join the Coca-Cola, but Coca-Cola in Goa is more interesting. So I will target my city is Goa. They will ready to relocate as well.
That's right. Sure. Um, I'll move to my next particular point with topic. So where I would feel in a PR department, if you are a big company or if smaller, obviously you will hire an agency. What activities specifically does they are involved in? What are their responsibilities in growing the employer brand? So I'll start with Ratna for the same.
No, start with Shalaka because she already handled this by she have a hand-on experience on that
Sure, sure.
PR management.
Sure, Shalaka can take it.
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
yes, we are.
Yeah.
it's clear.
So, in terms of PR, so as I was mentioning that, corporate brand and employee brand go hand in hand. So, defining your narratives right in terms of what you want to communicate as an organization and what you want to communicate as an employer brand. So the structure in my previous organization, the internal team structure was such that I was managing employer brand and a peer was managing PR, right? And we had an agency, we worked with an agency to drive all the narratives which we as an organization wanted to talk about, right? If we want to talk about a new office opening or an acquisition or anything of that sort, the PR team used to craft that narrative and work with the agency to drive it externally. And then it was picked up by the newspapers we targeted, etc., etc. But the involvement of one PR Spock driving all the narratives along with the PR agency, because they used to consult as well, right? They used to consult in terms of what is the market talking about in terms of tech trends or in terms of people stories, etc., etc. So in that case, PR has helped a lot in terms of elevating Brilio's employer brand when we were working together in that organization. And then marketing all of these PR. So once the PR is published, let's say if it is print or digital, doesn't matter. Bringing it back to LinkedIn and then doing sponsored ads and communicating that narrative right to the target audience was what the strategy was. So PR has played a humongous role in elevating Brilio's employer brand.
That's really
Correct. Correct. Shalaka, I just wanted to add
Nikhil, I
against
can't
on a
hear you.
Q.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
am
can
I
hear you.
audible here? Okay.
Okay. Shalaka, I just want to ask in a question way. The thing is, if we are doing PR, okay,
Hmm,
for what kind of news we have to out and which platform will be great. Digital
right,
is okay, print is okay, but such kind see, few people are identification of the company. Otherwise, they are a face, just like a brand of the company. If they
right,
left
right,
the company, now that is the biggest news. Just like Malishka, I guess she's a radio jockey. Am
right,
I right?
right,
Right.
right.
If she left the company, so everything, her means market of that radio channel will be down, might be.
Yeah,
So,
it
what do you think
definitely
about
has.
such kind of things? Because this is the one negative point as well. Because
Hmm,
people will be like, we are a face of the company.
right.
We have to check another. So how to handle such situations if such things happen?
People are married to a brand till they like it, right? It's like that,
Right.
as easy as I can put it. But you cannot stop people moving out of organizations and the impact. There are a lot of CEOs who keep moving from one org to other to try newer things, and that's life. That's life, right? It will have some impact maybe for 2 3 days, and then it will fade away because they'll join a new organization, and that also will be a big news. So these things need to be handled from a perspective wherein you don't want it to get amplified so much, so you don't drive anything. Maybe, or that person should be kind enough to understand that it will harm your company's reputation or affect the sales or affect the viewership or whatever that is. But this usually I have seen happening in media or B2C agents, B2C companies that way. In B2B, I haven't observed much, but movements keep happening all the time. It's
Of
unavoidable.
course.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. So, right now, if we check the LinkedIn, every company is focusing to get the work, great place to work certificate.
Yes. Yes.
But sometimes when I had a word with the many organization people, but
Mhm.
story is a little different.
Okay.
In-house story is different. So
Okay.
how to maintain that thing? So it's a
I didn't
great
get
place
your
to work.
question. Could
Great
you
place to work is
yeah.
a certificate every
Yeah,
organization
I
is
know.
targeting. Okay, but
Right.
actually the backend story is always different. Organization have
I just
by
have gone through the whole GPTW process for the current organization I work with, and they keep changing their profile analysis criteria every few years. And
okay.
this time it was really different. And what it was I'm not sure if I'm answering your question right, but the process keeps altering every few years, and this time it was different. It was a survey, plus we had to submit certain documents to support the answers, which support the questions they were seeking answers to, along with, I mean, there were 4,000 word essays which had to be written. And I, along with a couple of team members from the HR team, we were driving that initiative internally. And yeah, we did get GPTW certified. My client did get GPTW certified a couple of days back.
Okay, great. So why I ask this question, because many HR people get confused between this, because employee branding is more to relate with the HR team. That is the
Yeah, it's
reason.
like on the cusp of HR and marketing. HR would be the primary stakeholders always, and from a brand standpoint, it's with the branding experts, right? You can't give an employer brand in the hands of HR. The dynamics are completely different in an
Right,
HR team.
right,
So
right.
that's my personal point of view. Because I have a core marketing background. That's my personal point of view. Yeah.
I'm also core marketing background, but that is the reason I ask you, because if somebody want to pursue, so if there are any courses or otherwise there are any such kind of profiles, because I never read ki employee branding HR is we are hiring such kind of opening.
Hmm. But I was
So
also
that
with an organization for a very small amount of time, wherein employer brand as a role was sitting in the HR team, and that didn't work out for me. That's why I quit the organization uh, in a very short span of time, because that just was not what I was looking for. But it does happen that in a lot of organizations, the awareness of this role is very less. People don't know what they want from an employer branding expert or what they want to drive. Just because it's in vogue and everyone is doing it, companies are a little flummoxed on how they should be going about building their employer brand. So that's an industry wide problem, which in a lot of organizations, employer brand role reports to talent head, which also is something I have observed.
yes,
That's right. So Shalaka, I want to know that the obviously there are a lot of sites where you could be negatively reviewed, by ex-employees or something. So, does the PR department have any role in that in terms of when things could get out of hand? Like, in some cases where you Google the company only, you on the first few results, organic results, you'll see, major negative reviews or something happening. So, do you think there are certain things that they can do in the case where it's just a case of people just ranting? It's not that very genuine. But since they're given an outlet, so they are doing it, and it's come to a stage where it is negatively affecting in the SEO also.
Okay. Uh, that's a little, yeah, that's a little far-fetched, but in terms of Glassdoor, PR folks, I mean, what we did from a Glassdoor standpoint, when there were extreme criticisms over, in terms of reviews, the idea was to respond. Sometimes companies choose not to respond because you can't come across as an organization who is so feeble and responding to everything out there. I mean, you need to take a stand somewhere, right? But in terms of critical feedbacks, we chose to respond and to solve
Yes.
the matter, like
Yeah,
from
there
a
was just one correction that I was saying negative, not SEO. It is ORM, online reputation management.
right ORM. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was saying. So yeah, this is ORM basically. You have a template on, like,
Yeah.
we had built a template on how to respond in certain situations if need be. You know, if it crosses the threshold and it becomes very nasty, maybe forgive my language, but in that case,
Hmm.
on how you should respond. So there were templates for Glassdoor, for LinkedIn, and any other social media platform where in any ex-employee or current employees coming in, or even during interview processes, right? Sometimes results get delayed. Sometimes recruiters don't communicate right in terms of where the if the position is on hold or what has happened to that candidature. In all of these situations, we had listed and created a template on how to respond to have that ORM in place. And this was done in a B2B setup, but it is crazier in a B2C setup, when it comes to, organizations like Zomato and Myntra and all of these. Their ORM is of course customer centric as well as employee centric, and it's a completely different ball game to manage. But having a template in place helps. If Glassdoor or even Indeed, Glassdoor, Naukri, IM Jobs, all of these portals and their maintenance falls under the employer branding umbrella only.
Okay, that's great to know. So, great. We'll go to our next part of discussion. We'll take actual examples of companies who have been, successful in carrying out their employer branding, and people might have, read about it somewhere, or even, today you have so many campaigns also done which are
Right.
directed at your prospective employees that have been very impressive and have led to more people applying to that, like a major jump. So they are like proven campaigns that they have done, and that has led to the result of a lot of applications to whichever the positions they are putting out there. So great. So cover. I'll go to Shalaka again. She can start off with some great examples.
Sure. So when Atlassian came to India, uh, Atlassian is the maker of Jira basically. And when they came to India, they came to Bangalore, they had hoardings all over. Like I was talking about, right? When I saw the hoarding in Sarjapur and I had not seen the name, and the positioning of the hoarding was at a bus stop near to my previous organization. So you see how it was strategically placed so that people get intrigued about it and check out what Atlassian is. So that Atlassian's campaign, it's very fresh in my mind even after 3 4 years. And Gojek did an amazing job hiring comedians and talking about their organization, giving an office tour, and because Gojek is a Indonesia based organization wherein they have their back office in Bangalore, where all the techies are coding to drive better make better products for the Indonesian market. And Gojek was also not known that way. And how Gojek lifted their employer brand, including campaigns with Danish Seth, who is a comedian based out of Bangalore. So that was a completely different way to look at it. I'm giving you these examples because they are different from the online digital marketing campaigns, right? Because they are a little out of the box and they have worked very well for. So Gojek's idea was to create brand awareness. And with that ad where they invited three comedians, I think Rohan Joshi was one of them, and Abish and one lady I'm not able to recall. So that also went very well because they gave the whole office tour and what they do at Gojek, because people didn't know what is all about, right? So I think these two organizations I really look up to because they do different things in general. Even Zomato, for that matter, Zomato doesn't need a lot of employer branding to be done. But one very interesting strategy Zomato has in terms of hiring is that they only seek referrals. That's their strategy. They do not uh, have any LinkedIn ads or any jobs listed anywhere. It's only done through referrals. So that was pretty interesting. I mean, it's very simple, but it gives them the best of talent, right? Because referrals, you won't refer someone unless and until you're happy working in that organization. So these three would be something I would like to talk.
And one more thing about the Zomato referral thing, nowadays, they are hiring people from the social media work specifically for social
Yes.
media. So they are taking how people are enjoying their content.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
for,
True.
after seeing their work, means people are enjoying means they are perfect for the job. So they have a degree, doesn't matter for the thing. But
Yeah.
such kind of things are also happening in a market.
And people are hiring
So
from Twitter also, but
yes,
Ratnabharati, people are hiring from Twitter, and that's amazing. I mean, people are talking about Web3 and crypto and blockchain, and Twitter is like if you're following Bangalore-based organizations and Bangalore-based techies, you will know it's crazy out there. I mean, networking has gone to another level, and hiring from Twitter is also becoming a thing right now.
Right. Means, for the reason I want to tell my father, if you're not knocking me that why you are what are you doing in social media all the times, so I can tell them. So I will get the job from here as well. So things are there.
That's right.
Yeah.
Great. So there's one interesting question that on social media, like obviously the employer will try to put out obviously the job site and LinkedIn jobs and all.
Hmm.
But where else do you think, as a candidate, he can reach out in terms of social media? How a candidate can utilize social media to connect with a company, basically.
Okay, I'll take this.
Okay.
In terms of, and I'm sorry if you would like to go ahead. Like, please go ahead if you want.
No, no, there is no problem. I
Sure.
will add. Yeah.
Sure. So in terms of social media for employer brand, LinkedIn is your primary channel and Instagram is picking up. So if you see life at Google, life at or VR Cisco or life at SAP, amazing people stories. So for people stories and visual based content, Instagram as a platform is working very well. I mean, you would be amazed to see. I mean, even I keep looking at the stories because they're just beautiful to read, and because these are established companies and that there's a lot to learn from the companies I spoke about. From a LinkedIn standpoint, focusing on LinkedIn, uh, live events are something people should be doing. Then consistent people focused campaigns and polls and all of these things, different content formats basically. Uh, how how currently prospects are engaging is there is also a live tab on LinkedIn, which is a product of LinkedIn in itself, wherein you can of course take the subscription and you can showcase life or culture at your organization on that tab, which comes along with other tabs on LinkedIn. So that's there. It is similar to what you showcase as your culture on Naukri or on your web careers page. You can just replicate all of that content, but because LinkedIn being such a focused channel for hiring and uh, everything around it, that comes in very handy because all this information is listed in one platform in the most crisp way possible for a candidate to know everything about your organization. And of course the candidates can scroll and see कि पिछले 3 महीने में क्या हुआ है, what your organization has done. Are they talking about IWD or not? Are they breaking the bias or not? Or what are the current openings, etc., etc. I mean, it gives you a complete picture. And LinkedIn also has a lot of products in terms of pipeline builder and a lot of them from an employer brand standpoint as well, which the hiring team and employer branding team can leverage that way. But creating engaging content like Ratna mentioned about Zomato, right? If you look at Pepper content is creating amazing content in terms of their community building. So community building also comes very naturally when you have engaged content on social media. So Pepper has built an amazing community. Pepper had invited me for I think in 2021 I was doing a LinkedIn live similar to this, and Pepper has grown so much from when I spoke to them and now with their NBC awards and all of that. So it's I mean it's very open ended. The possibilities are endless when it comes to social media. Things keep changing. Abhi reels kitne companies like Zomato and B2C companies are also doing reels and all of that, right? As a B2B company, I wouldn't recommend that today, but we do never know what might change.
That's
Even
right.
you mentioned the reels. Zomato recently did one reel. Means our creative marketing team in
Right.
a lunch time, I guess, such kind of a reel they released recently. And it's really funny and interesting as well. So I enjoyed a lot. Second one, I also wanted to add in the as an employee side. If I want to means such like people have a dream companies. I wanted to work with the Google, otherwise any other thing. So employee branding will help them to understand the employee and their background as well. So, for example, I am a sales background person. Okay, and I want to enter a Coca-Cola sales team. I will get the idea who is my interviewer, what is
Yeah,
his background, what kind of mentality he's carrying last his career time. Okay, then he work with the people, what they are talking about him, because end of the thing we are have to work with the people,
Mm.
yeah,
and they are going to
Yeah,
monitor
because
you, they are going to
I mean,
guide
if
you.
you all like analyze when say you have done previously three, four, how many ever jobs, what were the thing like that convinced you? Obviously, you have read something or at some content piece maybe that has convinced you to. So it is within the employer branding how they can design these. Like say you're showcasing the marketing team, so you'll show maybe the head of marketing and the vice president or whatever. So that way, like you'll get more convinced when you see maybe they like that personality of that person in that video or something. So something
yeah,
it's like it gets you closer to you are making it there are certain positive steps that have to be taken to buy a product in the purchase decision. So here it's the decision to join the company or this thing. So that's and people they will really research it more and more and get in details once they are coming to the point that they have to make that decision when
Even
they are in the driver's seat basically, and it is their choice at that time to join the company. Yeah,
even sales is a networking business majorly. So other client is also going to read in majorly in a B2B area. Networking is play the biggest role, and LinkedIn gonna help them. If I'm a means my national head mentioning me in his one of the post, and I am in a salesperson in his team, so people will understand they are take caring of the all the employees, they are recognizing all the works, mean they will get the all kind of information of the each and every client, means they are working on means a micro management, otherwise micro selling thing we can say. So that kind of, so it will be great help to sales people as well to generate the lead, because what happen if you are a new now, people are not going to entertain you, never give you a time to meet, not easily. But after that such kind of activity, okay, you are working under Mr. Mukesh, so yeah, we will meet. Such kind of things has also
that's right.
happened.
Like you are part
I
of
had
the team of
experience.
some kind of a company celebrity because today we have company celebrities also, na? Like somebody who's working in a top position in some well branded company. So yeah, that definitely adds. That will open up the gates for getting more appointments and connecting with more people with sales. They want even marketing. Say they are doing events or something like that. They would
Right.
it will open up a lot of doors for them.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Great. So awesome. We'll go to some of the Q&A questions basically from the audience. So we'll start. So Shalaka can take it that what do you mean by a candidate experience when he goes through the full interview?
Hmm.
How can you kind of make sure that this experience is it goes well for the same?
Right. Like I spoke, that the first touch point is your website. Candidate experience begins from there. Like all the information for a candidate to know before applying or during the process is should be ideally available on the website, and taking them to the right places where they can find it. So website updation on a regular basis is important. Second, once the talent acquisition folks start talking with the candidate for the role, in terms of role clarity, in terms of I had also created a template for writing JDs, and we had educated, and there we had taken a workshop to create awareness on how they should be pitching to the candidate, the talent acquisition folks should be pitching to the candidates. And that is important because they are the face of the organization when it comes to hiring. They are the brand ambassadors, and they need to be trained so such that we get the best talent. It's just not upon the company to keep building an employer brand, but it is also on the TA folks to communicate it right. Right? If there is an award which an organization got, you in analytics, and if you are hiring for analytics, you should definitely mention that things like that. So that's the
Hmm.
second touch point wherein there is an interaction between the candidate and the recruiter. Then there is a full process. A lot of organizations have very lengthy processes, and people get fatigued and tired because of that. So you need to also look into how you want to hire, in terms of what are the steps. A lot of organizations have this hiring process for their roles listed on their website also, because that gives a very clear picture कि इसके बाद ये होगा, इसके बाद ये होगा. तो मतलब the the person who is applying is clear on how he or she should be going about it, right? So clarity in terms of your hiring steps or hiring process for for the evergreen roles which you want to hire is also important. Then in terms of the hiring manager connects, pre-joining informal connects, making the person feel valued, welcomed into your organization, giving them the best of experience from a team standpoint, pre joining connection. And then there is a buddy assigned to the candidate to, take them through the organization, through the processes and all of that. So there's a buddy program, and these are all HR onboarding activities which add up to candidate experience, but also keeping them engaged. So let's say during the pandemic, what happened that uh, we had to push joining for few candidates, but just to ensure them that their jobs were secure, we did a leadership connect where the leaders spoke to these people and ensured them. And this happened on a regular basis, irrespective of that case scenario, right? uh, and these were all pre-joining activities which ensured a good candidate experience for the new joiners. And then there is a 30, 60, 90-day program till their probation completes, and it is again a very structured onboarding activity in terms of tasks they need to complete. Then the buddy program that I spoke about, and a small quiz, and just to make them feel a little more welcome. Onboarding kits or the brand merchandise is also in vogue. You must have seen a lot of organizations sending their brand kits to new joiners, and then they clicking pictures and talking about it on LinkedIn. That is another brilliant way of getting your employer brand right out there. So employer branding kits, so amazing stuff done by a lot of amazing companies that way, from t-shirts to bottles to masks and everything in between, because that gives you a sense of belongingness. The new candidate who has joined your organization is, I mean, especially during the pandemic when it was all virtual, and I have personally faced it twice, it becomes very difficult to understand and feel belonged out there. You just see, you cannot see physical movement, you cannot see language and all of that. So this cannot be curbed, or this cannot be discounted completely, but just to feel that candidate much more welcomed and making the candidate happy, because a lot of companies cut costs on offices. So that money was invested in sending all of these brand kits and Diwali gifts and New Year gifts and celebratory activities, contests, and giveaways, just to keep them engaged. So that is also what happened in the pandemic.
It's
That's
just
right.
like a emotional market,
Yes.
emotional touch. Welcome to the
You,
family.
um, so Shalaka, do you think in the candidate experience, like obviously they'll go on the site, you are shown the job that is listed and all that. Should they also say a general process of hiring? Because there's a lot of confusion, in terms of
Yeah.
how many days will this thing take and what
Yeah.
is the timeline and all. So do you think that a clarity in that sense should be
Definitely.
all these things should be put out there so
Yes,
that they
definitely.
kind of that gets a positive, okay, that they can move on and whatever, like that also creates a positive
Yes.
not negative feeling, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, rightly said. And the thing is that a lot of companies have already mentioned on their websites, but those who haven't definitely should communicate. The recruiter or the TA Spock should communicate that this will be the process, and this much time we will take to communicate the feedback or whatever that is. So yes, you are absolutely right, Nikhil. Totally aligned.
That's right. Because I feel the more talented employees, they will anyway, they have multiple
Multiple offers.
options.
Yeah.
So the communication as well is, if it's really good, they know what's happening, and then they would have preferred to join your organization, but maybe
Yeah.
you it was not defined or didn't take things fast. So yeah,
Yeah.
that way I think it's
And
a part.
everyone hates follow-ups. Yeah, I hate follow-ups so much. Like, everyone does, right? If and it also gives you a sense that the company is valuing the prospect, right? So
Yeah,
that's very important. It's normal behavioral dynamic.
that's right. Because even in the case of the company, it's not necessarily the employee that you want or you have shortlisted. He will also be interested to join. So you have to give everybody a fair chance so that somebody end of the day would it would work out well then.
Yeah.
That's right. Next one is uh, interesting one. Apart from the salary, today's top talent, what we're looking for, like just two or three points that if you could point it out. So maybe Ratna, you can take that.
Yeah, apart from the salary, company environment, means culture, and majorly company culture, what kind of freedom, otherwise what, how they are treating to employee. If they are getting peace in a workplace, so they will work
But
hard.
then that is universal. But how can it be kind of communicated or
Okay,
like
I'll give you
what is out there?
example. I'll give you example. If because salespeople handling too much pressure more than other departments. Marketing have a deadline, but sales have a targeted issues. So sometimes what happen? Many FMCG company are people, means senior people are not talking properly with their executives, otherwise area sales manager. They are using language are different, communication ways are different. Every time they are getting just like we will fire you, some kind of things, and not talking properly. And if executive is not performing, he will come to you. You have to support him, go with him, communicate with the client, where is the problem, find the issue. Might be in a one day problem will be not solved, but you have to work on it. And
Yes, but
salespeople need such
Ratna,
kind of
I think those
support.
are related to when you join the company, then you come. But on the exterior, how are these things? So, if maybe Shalaka, you can take it where what
Yeah.
is out there they are looking at. That is what is the purpose of employer branding. So, the top talent, what are they looking at, and are you communicating that?
Right.
Sorry,
Yeah, Nikhil.
I just want to add one thing before
Yeah.
the joining. I will check the who is my team. Okay,
Hmm.
and what they will bring to us, otherwise give it to me as a knowledge. Otherwise, because I need a growth in a salary as well and in a knowledge as well. So where they came from and what they are doing in the company, and what how will be I'll grow, otherwise what will be I get. That is the thing, every person think about it.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yes, Shalaka.
Shalaka, you
So,
can go ahead.
yeah,
Yeah,
your
yeah.
point.
Right. So I think currently remote and hybrid is the big deal. Remote, hybrid, or on-site is the big deal. If I'm talking from a personal standpoint, I would never want to go to office, and there are a lot of people like that who never want to go to office because they have their side hustle or they want to spend time with family. The reasons might be
In
different.
travel, they don't want to waste most of the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
To the
So
office, obviously.
So that is one really important thing. And second, I think in terms of in terms of the growth and the opportunities which you will get in the organization,
Hmm.
because there is no limit to the opportunities right now in tech or in any in marketing or in sales or any form or profile that way. But what works for you, you need to figure out what works for you and then align it with the company you are applying for me, I wouldn't apply for a company in Delhi, or I wouldn't apply for a company somewhere where I don't want to go. Similarly, you also need to understand if you want to take a slow time or a fast track careers. If you are looking for a fast track growth in your career, you want to go to a startup or you want to stick with your services organization or whatever that is, the decision is up to you in terms of understanding what you want and then aligning it with the growth you foresee or you want for yourself in the next coming years. So I think growth would be the second part, and third would be definitely culture. People go to Glassdoor, read every single thing to understand your culture, and then they reach out to people on LinkedIn in your organization, irrespective of the team, to figure out if it is consistent or not. People do a lot of research, just like before buying a car, people do a lot of research before joining a company. So I think there are a lot of aspects which come under culture, and a lot of
So you are
work
saying like a
policy.
background check, the
Yes.
top talent is doing an active background check on the company by maybe connecting people already in that company from social
Yeah.
media platform.
Yeah, and there are companies like an academy who have a period leave policy, or there are other companies where women will feel valued and would be encouraged to work. So, in terms of DEI, while I was speaking about diversity and equity and inclusion earlier, all of these policies are also very important. People do read about it and are aware. Everyone today is extremely aware of what's happening in the market, and they research a lot. So first answer would be in terms of location constraint, or matlab, hybrid, remote, whatever that is. Second is your growth trajectory, and third would be culture and policies. That would be my answer.
Yes, great. That's very well put. Swiftly, we'll move on to the next. Is within the employer, when the company, the talent already you have him, they are hired, but with the news out there about the company, how much role that has, we have seen in some cases that has a major role. So, where there's some negative news about a company which is getting out of hand, and that has led
Yeah.
to the CVs flooding the market from that company. So, Shalaka, you can just tell us that in retaining talent, like what can be done within employer branding that has an effect on retaining the talent.
Right. uh, Rewards and recognition, a very robust program, a robust referral policy, employee engagement, and of course the growth. Growth is something people are looking for, and flexibility. If all the needs of your current employees are met, and a lot of organizations also do half yearly half yearly
Appraisals.
promotions and appraisals and all of that. So it is basically going with the flow, taking it by the ear, how valued that employee is for you, and how much it will affect after he or she is not there. It doesn't need to be done for everyone. If it is a low performer, you might be happy to let that person go, but it is very strategic in nature in terms of your top performers, because they are always on the edge of leaving your organization. To keep them happy, involved, invest in their learning. So I was also nominated for a leadership program by my current organization right now, and I felt so valued about it, that they trust me as an individual who can lead a team in the coming weeks or coming days or whatever that is. So investing in their growth internally through L&D programs is also very important, I think. And competitive salaries are everywhere. You need to be always a notch higher when it comes to retaining top talent.
That's right. Also, I feel the internal communication when you're observing certain negative news about your company, very swiftly an internal communication plan should be there so that those are addressed, because then people will have doubts about the company, so they want to clarify. So you have to have a communication plan very swiftly
True,
made and done
true.
when this
To
happens.
assure the individuals or assure the employees that we'll be resolving this issue, and it won't affect your job, and ensuring them about their security in the organization, etc. Yes, you are absolutely right, Nikhil. I missed upon that.
That's right. Next, we'll go. I'm sure this is a very vast topic, but just if few lines, if you can cover the about employee value proposition, how is it generally calculated? Like just a few pointers in that.
Cannot be calculated, Nikhil. It's open ended. It can be
Okay.
formulated. There can be a framework about an EVP which can be put in place, and then the activities which Ratna and I spoke about, could be driven. But calculating the ROI or funneling for hiring is very difficult that way. And EVP is a framework. It's not a tool, or it's not a mechanism in which you can calculate things. That's my personal point of view. I might be wrong, but in terms of the brand awareness and impact driven through the activities in alignment with the narratives which you want to communicate in terms of your EVP, that's the most important. Like if it is consistent or not, and if you are going wrong somewhere, are you implementing the feedback right and redoing certain things which you are supposed to? So there is no, I mean, if okay, if from a qualitative standpoint, if I'm wearing
Like
a
if you
t-shirt,
give a very small example for this, just it'll
yeah.
create little bit clarity. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Let's say I'm walking on the road wearing a company's t-shirt which is fairly new in the market, and someone comes up to me and we have a chit chat, and they say that, oh, I know about this company and I know about this brand. That is wherein you have created your employer brand, right? Like in terms of people recognizing your brand irrespective of their profession. That's how you measure the qualitative impact. For
Hmm.
example, I was at a shop. I was wearing a specific company's T-shirt, which was not so known, and the person recognized, "Oh, I have read about them in certain magazine." You know, that's
Hmm.
wherein all your PR efforts, employer brand, corporate brand efforts come into play. Where that person was from a finance CA background, and the company was into tech, right? And
Yes.
it was a startup back then. So it's all qualitative when it comes to measuring or calculating your if the output of your EVP.
That's very great. Next, any tips and pointers you all can give for it's a more symbiotic process where how the marketing and HR works in employer branding. So Ratna can take this.
Yeah, sure. So, just like all the summary of the till time discussion is here. Planning, objectives, what we want to achieve, and execution method, consistency is there. So these are the things are here. Which platform we want to choose for the which campaign. Otherwise, for the targeted things. If we want to hire, focus on a LinkedIn. If we want to just highlight the thing, focus on Twitter. Use the all the medium, all the channels over here. Shalaka can add a good point over here.
Yeah, it's like a symbiotic process. It's very important to get the right inputs from the TA team. Let's say there is a client you want to hire, do hiring for 40 people, and that's when the inputs will come from the TA team on how and whom they want to hire in which region, which skill set, etc., etc., which will then add up to the inputs to drive a better marketing campaign, recruitment marketing campaign that way, right? So employer branding wherein the brand or marketing team executes it, all the inputs need to come from the HR department or the TA department rather, in terms of what their goal is or what they want to achieve and how marketing can support that in terms of recruitment, in terms of being GPTW certified or driving, maintaining ORM on Glassdoor. Everything needs to come from the HR team, their asks, and how marketing can support them to drive the employer brand better.
I want to ask you one question. Means generic. Nikhil, you can
Sure.
also answer. Now India is a morely startup India. Means startup is a new culture. It's coming and growing nowadays. And
Right.
in a startup, there are different kind of environment we are able to see. People are living within a 2 months and 3 months. How to retain those employees? How to attract to employee to join the organization? That is my because I am also working on this thing, but a few inputs I wanted from you. If you want to choose a startup, what do you think? What you will check?
That's right. Um, yeah, so I feel
Shalaka, it's not moving.
okay, maybe Shalaka, there's a line,
Like,
but okay,
tracking.
Okay.
yeah, there might be some net issue from your end. It'll just settle down. I'll just make my point. So basically, I feel in the startups, They have to. It's, I think, now beyond the point that you very simply could just post your job on a job site or on LinkedIn jobs. There has to be that strategy of the perceived value that your company is getting. So you have to have that within the strategy from day one. The even a bootstrap startup should have that. What are the kind of people they want? Basically, that should be the focus on it. And are we communicating, are we attracting those people in our the social media, the content that we are creating? So I feel that the full social media strategy has to be point on, and what you want to communicate about yourself as a workplace, that has to be within. So maybe 3 4 years back that was not the case. You could just be with a job posting, but if you want to attract the best people, or the people who you really feel are the most suitable, then you have to make sure that where are they looking, and are we creating content so that we come in front of them, basically.
Shalaka, do
Yes.
you want to add? We are not able to hear you.
Shalaka,
Sorry,
you're on mute. Yes, now
yeah.
you're on.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, we are.
Okay. So what I was saying was, in terms of hiring and retaining, yes, you are right, Ratna. A lot of people are leaving the organization very soon and they're not afraid because it's a talent driven market. We need to understand what the people are looking for in terms of, in terms of culture, growth, money, flexibility, all the pillars we spoke about in the conversation. I think it's very important to have that conversation with the people who are leaving the organization, just to understand what your company can do right and what is going wrong and how you can rectify it. Feedback is always very important. And of course, people don't leave without one factor. There are always multiple factors involved. So it is very important to understand what was their key factor and how you can improvise it and retain them. That's always there. But if it is happening on a regular basis, if the attrition is, probably you need to look into the hiring strategy, if you're hiring the right people, if you're hiring the right person for the right job or not. Because sometimes there is a question of role clarity, which has happened with me in the past. There was no role clarity, and that's why I have quit the organization in 2 months. I have done it personally, and I can tell it from my own experience. And but there were multiple reasons also which were playing in the back of my mind in terms of culture, ethics, and others. So I think it's very important to have those difficult conversations with people, to understand if you can improvise things for them, and if not, it's always better to let go if that person is not a culture fit, or if it is not the role, if that person is not the role fit.
That's right. I feel there should be a clarity, because a lot of startups, since maybe they are not being preferred, firstly, if they are bootstrapped and all that, to be the preferred place. So they generally, when they communication also, during interviews and all, they might
Yeah,
want to, hide or exaggerate certain things. But I feel if you're more authentic in those communications, there
yeah,
are people, as I said, not only salary is not the only thing that's motivating them. So you have to
yeah,
look at those kind of startups who are not who have those fears. You should let go of those fears and have a
yeah,
more clear communication. And also, what within the organization that you are doing that is going to attract these people who you want to hire, that you have to have a complete proper strategy for that. So that is where these things come. It is not like an owner led thing that he can do this. You will have to have certain multiple brains and a proper structure and strategy for this.
yeah, yeah.
Great. So great. We'll take the last question for today. Is how basically social media is to be used by people. Like today, anybody, you have a profile, Twitter, Facebook, anything, you can talk about. People have talked about the experience within when they are in the company, or maybe just in general in certain sensitive topics they are talking about. So how should they use, because it could maybe negatively impact the company, if there's an employee who is
Yeah,
ranting about something which is not supposed to, going after certain institutions or something like that. So
right.
that way, what do you feel like so about this, Shalaka? Like in the sensitization, apart apart from the normal session that is had, but what all else can be done with the company?
Sure, sure. Very important question. I love this question because all employees are your brand ambassadors. Every employee of your organization is a brand ambassador. And first of all, social media guidelines are something which need to be shared when the employee joins, and also, every so what we did was we did it on a quarterly basis, wherein there's a refresh of social media guidelines. Like, you, if a new employee is joining and very thrilled and excited to talk about the person joining this new firm, but in what role, in what capacity. Sometimes you have client facing roles, the clients have an NDA with the organization which cannot be mentioned, so people need to be very cognizant of what they are talking or representing their organization as on LinkedIn or otherwise. Secondly, in terms of the campaign, the not campaigns, the incidents which happened, right? In terms of Black Lives Matter and similar incidents, you need to be very cautious. If you are very politically driven, organizations do not appreciate all of that in terms of expressing your hardcore views on social media about being a left winger or a right winger, whatever political content you put out there. Companies are very companies are not okay, and they do not appreciate all of these things. So you need to be cognizant with the company guidelines on how you should be acting on a social platform. And there should be, of course, social media guidelines would be sent to people, etc., but there should be a refresh which should be done on a regular basis. And secondly, when it comes to leaders, uh, leaders have to be even more cautious about that. Falls in the leadership branding exercise which companies do on what their leaders should talk, and how they should represent themselves on social media. So yeah, it is very, very important to not let your personal brand affect your company's brand in any sort of way, because again, nobody appreciates it.
That's right. But in this case, Shalaka, like if a person is like you have another career also, and you are talking about on social media, you are a content creator, and you have a regular job, so you can talk about those things, right? Like what it could not be like into the
Yeah,
political space or sensitive, but you are
yeah,
expressing. If somebody is into dance, singing, you can put it on social media. So what do you
absolutely,
think? That is what is.
absolutely. So if it is up to, if it is up to the person how comfortable their organization is with, you know they
Hmm.
representing themselves as an individual. So I had established
But
this
now,
well
now
before.
you can't stop this thing because it's like everyone is a content creator
Yeah,
and is putting
yeah,
out. So in this case, like I mean, I think the you can have that kind of like obviously you can have something saying negative like when I'm saying it's become very sensitive topics, but generally people are putting themselves out there on social media. Everyone.
yeah, of course, and they have all the freedom to do it, just that it shouldn't affect or question the organization or the brand. They just need to be cautious of what they are talking about, and then that's fine, right? I have been doing it for so many years. So it's
That,
absolutely fine. It needs to be aligned, and you need to be cautious of what you're talking for yourself, and if it is impacting your organization stature in any way possible.
that's right. Awesome, great. So it has been a great discussion on employer branding, very insightful session. We'll be wrapping up the session, but obviously, before I talk to the audience, I'll just take the closing comments from both the panelists about this session and how it's been, and anything interesting that is coming up from their own ends. And also, I'll start with Ratna with the same.
Sorry?
Ratna, were you able to hear me?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, I was just saying closing comments from you for this particular session.
Employee branding is most important part of the company. It's just like a heartbeats. So you always have to focus and very neat and cleanly handle the things for the company with the guideline and with the many means target to the mission kind of scenario. So handle the properly the things. That's I wanted to tell.
That's right. Anything you want to
Hmm.
add about your what you're doing currently, or anything you want to communicate to the audience?
Right now, I'm doing working with the foundation, and we are handling social issues over here in our education. So people don't have able to readable material and proper readable material. So we are providing them. We are doing some sections for with them to for the career counseling, we can say, and we are providing some little courses to them, free of courses to them, so they can learn more as much can utilize their time in my Upacharya Foundation. Apart from this, helping to the brands to grow in a B2C, B2B, and employee market, and many other areas. So, developing the brand from the scratch, developing the environment of the brand in an organization, because I don't like remote work. I want to go office and work with the people, because from the childhood I am a people oriented person, so I love to spend time with the people. So enjoy the moment, enjoy the workload, enjoy this culture. So I love to develop those things. So
That's
that
it.
is the, yes, that is the things I'm doing.
Thank you. So thanks for a lot for your time, Ratna. Next,
Thank
I'll
you.
go to Shalaka. Her closing comments for the session.
I would just say two things is understand your talent market right, understand your employee and talent market right, and second is humanize the brand in the best way possible to tell all the beautiful stories your organization has done or is planning to do. So that would be my 2 cents in 2 comments.
Okay, great. So thank you both of you taking out your valuable time and coming for this session. It's been very insightful for the audience. Thank you so much. I'll see you later. Take care.
Thank
Take
you,
care.
Nikhil. Take care. Bye bye.
By the way, thank you, Shalaka. And Nikhil, thank you so much. I met Shalaka virtually.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to read about your foundation and see how we can collaborate.
Sure, sure, sure. Yes. Thank you.
Take care.
Definitely.
Take care,
Thanks a
Bye
lot.
everyone.
bye.
See you. Take care.
Bye
Yeah.
bye.
Bye.
Great. So it's been a great session talking about employer branding. I would feel to summarize also, and in general, my message in employer branding, you have to create that environment that is obviously an internal process for people to be retained, but to attract the right talent, that would, I would say, the activities that you have to do, you have to communicate on social media what the company is about in terms of the culture aspect of it, what is the vision. People showcase your top talent there. What kind of environment is there within the culture? All these things, the little bit information content should be smartly designed. So that is where very important, where the marketing and the HR department work together to create that. So employer branding should be like it's a compulsory, you can say, head activity head here, that you have to have certain activities done in that direction. Very important. Bootstrap startups should work in a way that they have to be very on social media, very focused into what kind of perception they are creating by these content creators, because for them the full game is the organic content creation social media. So if people, if not people discovering them, even if they are looking them up, like when through job postings and all, they will see whether they want to make, when they're serious they could give interviews and all, but when they are serious about making the decision, when they have got or more or less got an offer from the company, they will look up these things in the social media, in the you know co- basically the pages, the profiles and all that thing, and they will then make that decision whether they're not. So, and as you know, because salary is not the only thing that is going to convince them to work, there are various other factors. And are these factors being addressed in your content and creating that positive feedback for the company or the goodwill and all? So great, thank you, thanks a lot. Please subscribe to the Marketing Intelligence YouTube channel. Many interesting band discussions coming up. So see you. Take care. All the best. See you. Awesome.